Hello, I am Alon Burstein, visiting assistant professor in the Department of Political Science and an Israel Institute fellow at the University of California, Irvine, here giving you the updates of the last 24 hours of the Israel-Hamas war. It is currently the eve of November 1st, 2023 in the United States, the morning of November 2nd, 2023 in the Middle East. Starting with the aftermath of the initial attack on October 7th, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, is now concluding that over 3,000 attackers from Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad entered Israel in the first waves of the attack. So this does not include all of the Palestinians that entered in the various different waves, since there were over 80 crossings that were blown up or holes torn in the fence, through which a lot of Palestinians went through just randomly, including reporters and pillagers and other things like that. The IDF, including 3,000 people, were part of the initial attack plan of the first several waves. In addition, relating to the hostage situation today, Ismail Haniyeh, who's the leader of Hamas, stated today to negotiators, presumably from Qatar, that the world must force a ceasefire with Israel in order to continue any negotiations regarding hostages, and he added that the hostages in the Gaza Strip are subject to the same bombardments as Hamas. So this indicates that while Hamas has stated in the last couple of days it is going to release some hostages soon, they are also still trying to use this as a pressure valve in order to force a ceasefire with Israel. No other comments were made in relation to this from Israel or any of the other involved actors. Moving on to some of the ongoing fighting within the Gaza Strip, there were continuous rockets and missiles today fired from the Gaza Strip, as is almost every day since the war began, against the south and center parts of Israel. Rockets today targeted Ashdod, Ashkelon, and the entire area surrounding the Gaza Strip. In addition, there was a direct hit of a missile in Rishon LeZion, and rockets sent towards Bat Yam, Tel Aviv, and Ramat Gan. There was also a direct hit in the areas of Nes Ziona. In addition, a rocket landed on road number 4, which is one of Israel's main highways, and there were several people that were injured in these different bombardments. Moving on to the ongoing fighting within the Gaza Strip, it is now confirmed that as of yesterday, 16 IDF soldiers were killed in the different attacks that were going on in the Gaza Strip. 15 of them were killed in the north of the Gaza Strip, and one died in a mortar fire attack in the areas right outside the Gaza Strip. In addition, the IDF is reporting that it is deepening its invasion in the north of the Gaza Strip. It has added now a third entry point. So after, at the beginning, they attacked mostly from the north close to the sea, and then from the east, now there's a third entry point from the northeast, pouring in more and more of the troops that have been amassing around the Gaza Strip in the last several weeks. The Minister of Defense, Alon, today stated that the operation is proceeding as planned and that ground forces are having an easier time due to the severe bombardment that was leveled against Gaza City before the invasion. He specifically stated that 10,000 bombs were dropped in the area of the Gaza City. The IDF today reported that over 11,000 air raids have been carried out in total since the war began. In the different retaliations that occurred today, Hamas commander in charge of anti-tank warfare, Mohammed Assar, was assassinated. In addition, relating to the bombing of the Jabalia refugee camp that reported yesterday, there was a major bombing that occurred that caused the collapse of some underground facilities and the subsequent collapse of several buildings in the area. Hamas is now reporting that nearly 200 people were killed in Jabalia refugee camp in the last 2 days in these different attacks, and almost 800 people were injured. Subsequently, the Palestinian Health Ministry in the Gaza Strip is reporting that since the war began, upwards of 8,800 Palestinians have been killed and over 22,000 have been injured. In addition, it is reported that the Turkish hospital in the Gaza Strip has stopped working due to severe bombing in the area that damaged the hospital, and that the Al-Shifa hospital, which is the biggest hospital in the Gaza Strip, is working at a lower capacity due to the fuel crisis. Relating to the fuel crisis, going on to some of the humanitarian aid, there was a deal struck today between Israel, Egypt, the United States, and Hamas to allow Palestinians with foreign passports to evacuate from the Gaza Strip. Some 320 Palestinians with foreign citizenship were able to cross out of the Gaza Strip today into Sinai in 6 buses. This is known as the first wave in Egypt. More are expected to evacuate tomorrow. In addition, after it was reported yesterday that Egypt is going to allow some injured Palestinians after Israel vetted their names and made sure that they are not members of Hamas to evacuate to Egypt in order to receive medical attention, the first group of injured Palestinians did leave the Gaza Strip as well. The internet was cut this morning in the Gaza Strip, cutting all communications in the area. It was subsequently restored several hours later into the evening. As previously, the IDF is making no official comment. It is not saying that they are the ones that cut the communications. However, last time it was suggested that the United States mounted pressure on Israel to restore the internet access, and several hours later it was restored, which leads one to assume that the IDF has something to do with this. In addition, it was reported today that Cyprus is working to develop a sea corridor to allow aid to flow into the Gaza Strip from the sea that will then be distributed by the UN directly. The cargo will be inspected either by Israel or by inspectors that Israel approves, and it was importantly reported that Israel is looking at this option favorably. There are conflicting reports about how many trucks entered the Gaza Strip today. These are trucks that are carrying water, food, and medical supplies. Some reports said 60, some reports said 80. This number is due to increase in the next day or two as a result of a deal that was struck between Israel and the United States to upwards of 100 trucks a day. Right now, it is unclear how many trucks entered in the last 24 hours. Moving on to the West Bank, after in the last several days there's been growing concern in the international community, in the United States, and within Israel's leadership of the spirals of violence in the West Bank and fears that another front is going to open with Israel and violence with Palestinians in the West Bank. Today, 3 Palestinians were killed in the Jenin refugee camp in confrontations with the IDF, and another Palestinian was killed in Tulkarem. As part of the IDF attempted crackdown against Hamas in the West Bank, 30 Hamas members were arrested. In addition, there was reported today there's substantial disagreement within the Israeli cabinet regarding the role of the Palestinian Authority when it comes to curtailing violence in the West Bank. After pressure from the United States on Israel to transfer funds that it is supposed to transfer to the Palestinian Authority, this is due to deals that go back many, many years ago that Israel collects taxes from Palestinians and transfers them to the Palestinian Authority. The United States is mounting pressure on Israel to transfer these funds in order to help the Palestinian Authority pay its security forces and fight terrorism and help Israel to quell violence. Minister of Defense Alon today stated that those funds need to be transferred to the Palestinian Authority immediately in order to help the area spiral down. However, Finance Minister in Israel, Bezalel Smotrich, has said that he has no intention of transferring these funds to the Palestinian Authority because, as far as he's concerned, Palestinian Authority is just another terrorist entity. Right now, it is unclear what is going to happen. The United States is mounting severe pressure on Netanyahu in order to transfer these funds, so that likely will happen in the coming days remains to be seen. In addition, Tzvi Sukkot, who is a member of the Knesset from the Religious Zionist Party, has been made head of the subcommittee that deals with the West Bank. This is important because Sukkot specifically is one of the more radical elements in the Israeli government. He himself was a former Hilltop youth. He was arrested in 2009 in connection with the torching of a mosque as part of the Price Tag organization, and the fact that in this sensitive time he has been made the head of the subcommittee that deals with the West Bank calls into question what is going to happen in terms of spiraling the conflict in the West Bank, at least, to a calmer situation. Moving on to the north of Israel, there were mortar fires today fired into the Shtula area, as well as anti-tank fire against IDF outposts. The IDF reported that it attacked the different anti-tank units that were firing these missiles, as well as rocket launching sites, and that in additional retaliations, military infrastructure and posts of Hezbollah were attacked in Ramia and in Ita Shabab areas. In addition, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Najib Mikati, today stated again that Lebanon has had enough of wars, that it does not seek any confrontation with Israel, and that the decision if to go to war or not lies with Israel alone. So this is part of Lebanon's increasing efforts by the government to show that they are not interested in the war and that they hope that things do not spiral up between Israel and Hezbollah. However, signaling that there is growing concern in the region that things may spiral up between Israel and Lebanon, Jordanian Foreign Minister today issued a travel warning to its citizens, saying that Jordanians should avoid travel to Lebanon and any Jordanians in Lebanon should consider leaving. Moving on to the regional developments, the Houthi rebels in Yemen stated today that they sent a large number of drones towards Eilat and that they reached their target. No comment was made by the IDF in response to this, and no interceptions were seen in the area. Relating to this, Hazem al-Assad, who is part of the Houthi leadership, who previously tweeted the word Eilat, just to state that his group is targeting Eilat, today tweeted, "and beyond Eilat." So it remains to be seen what the Houthi rebels are planning in regards to their participation in the war. In addition, the Iraqi government today stated that 2 drones headed towards the U.S. El Tanaf base in Iraq were intercepted, and importantly, the newspaper Al Arabi Al Jadid today reported that there is growing disagreement between the Iraqi militias in Iraq. These are different militias that are loyal to varying degrees to Iran. There's growing disagreement regarding if they want to actually participate in a regional escalation and confrontation with the United States. The reports that some of these militias are fearful of the U.S. response, and that largely their disagreements are related to disagreements within the Iranian leadership between the foreign ministry and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard about whether there should be a regional escalation that involves confrontation with the United States or not. Moving on to some of the political developments and trends that happened today, the foreign minister of the EU stated that he is horrified at the number of Palestinians that were killed in the Jabalia refugee camp bombing, and China today called on the convening of an international conference to revive the two-state solution. In addition, Jordan today sent messages to Hamas and the Houthis, asking them, or demanding of them, that they avoid firing at the Eilat area because of its proximity to Jordanian airspace. And Jordan specifically said it will defend its airspace if necessary. In addition to that, Jordan today recalled its ambassador from Israel, saying that the ambassador will not return until Israel stops the war in Gaza. Some other developments. Politico today reported that in the Biden administration, there is growing recognition that Netanyahu's political days are numbered. According to 4 different sources, this is reported in Politico, Biden urged Netanyahu to think about who is going to be his successor and how he can pass on some of what he knows in order to facilitate Israel's strength in regards to the fact that his political days are likely numbered. In addition, it was reported that there is growing fear in the White House that Netanyahu may escalate the conflict in order to prolong his stay in office. The White House denied any of these allegations, officially stated that they are all made up. In Israel, a local councillor today in the south, who is a Likud member, resigned from the Likud and publicly called out the government, saying that it is the government's failure for abandoning the south in October 7th, and he called upon other Likud members to do the same. This is important because there has been growing fracture within Israel's right-wing government and possible indication that there may be an internal coup and ousting Netanyahu or something like that. This is all within their level of speculation. However, this is the first member of the Likud who is a local councillor from the south saying, yes, in fact, something needs to change in the government. Regarding the future speculations of the future of the Gaza Strip, State Department spokesman today Matthew Miller stated, in response to a question of what's going to happen after the war, that as far as the U.S. is concerned, Hamas cannot continue to rule the Gaza Strip. However, Israel should also not occupy the Gaza Strip. Regarding the alternatives, what is going to happen, he refused to comment and stated that they are still being debated. However, this comes amidst growing leaks again and again that there is vast disagreement between Israel and the United States and even within Israel about what is going to happen, and specifically, will the Palestinian Authority be reinstated into the Gaza Strip? The Palestinian Authority officials, both the Prime Minister and the Palestinian Authority Chairman, have said that they will not be reinstated to the Gaza Strip unless this is part of some regional deal. In Israel, opposition leader Yair Lapid has said the Palestinian Authority should be reinstated. Other members of his party said they should not. I reported previously within the Israeli cabinet, some people are saying the Palestinian Authority should be strengthened in the West Bank. Others are saying that the Palestinian Authority is a terrorist entity and must not be strengthened. All this is telling us is that right now, there is actually no plan for what is going to happen the day after Hamas is deposed in the Gaza Strip, and all sides are still arguing about that. That is my report for the last 24 hours. I'll be back tomorrow.